That was fun. For those of you who are wondering, welcome to Rattlecan Guitar Restorations. I'm James. We're going to talk about what I did this week's in school, 2 weeks in school. The intro, just for fun, kind of a blast from the past. That is an Area Pro 2 MA550 model that I purchased in Japan. That was this color. And we learned a lot on this guitar. The whole reason that I bring it up is because I got a message from a channel viewer asking for a wiring schematic, and I found it, which I could not believe. And then I also sent him a photo of the control cavity, the way that it is, the way that it was soldered. Golly, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years, a long time ago. Anyways, let's talk about what is going on in school and associated areas of interest or disinterest. Apply the labels you see fit. The revision for that STUMAC part is, I think I've completed that drawing, and now that I've completed that drawing, I can now get started on a process sheet listing my order of operations and feeds and speeds and drill bits and other types of things like that. Then that will allow me to get in and design the program on the ProtoTrack mill to then do this. Now, I've not had the ProtoTrack class. I've learned a little bit about the ProtoTrack in a previous guitar, in a previous machining class. I learned a little bit about the ProtoTrack. I'm actually signed up to take that class this coming semester, which starts right after the first of the year, but trying to get ahead of the game a little bit. So that will be on, and then we'll test it and we'll see how it works on something, which I'm going to mention here in a minute. It's been a long time since I've done an episode where I actually had to write down all the stuff that I had to talk about. What's the second thing I want to mention? I have the permission of the owner of this instrument, or soon-to-be instrument, to talk about this. I've told you I'm in this class with, there's a couple of people that play guitar. There's no craftsmen. There's no luthiers in the class. There's no real wood shop builders in the class. There's some people that are fairly handy in the class, but people are just exploring guitar building, which I think is friggin' cool. So this classmate of mine saw this somewhere on the interwebs and decided she would like to make one of those. And so this is her result so far. And she brought it in the other day, and the instructor and I and other students in the class basically oohed and awed and fawned all over it, for the two reasons that it's got this just beautiful figured top on it, and then this surf effect is done with epoxy. And she made me oh so happy as we're discussing this instrument on Saturday, and I saw another instrument, another body over on the side, and I said, well, what's this? And she said, that's my test piece. And I did a test on this side, and I did a test on this side, and I was like, you make me very happy with all these test pieces around. Because I tell people, I'll get questions on the website or questions through email, and people will ask me about something. Can I do this with this? I'm like, I don't know, you might be able to. Do a test piece and find out. And so that was, it just made me happy that somebody saw something they wanted to do, realized, let's do some testing and see if we can't get the process down before we go to the big show. So anyways, there's a couple of different views of that. I can't wait to see how it finishes up. I mean, she's on the bench next to me, so I see it every Saturday. So the progress is pretty amazing. And there are some other guitars in there that are really pretty cool. I'm hoping, praying even, that towards the end of the class, I can have everyone's permission and we can take pictures of all these guitars that have been created in this class, because it's pretty cool. Anyways, so that is that. What are we doing in guitar class actually? What did we do? Week before last, we did wiring, and we're provided with this diagram, and we talk about wiring and why are we wiring stuff up, and how what do tone pots do, what do volume pots do. We discussed that a little bit, and then we wired up. We spent the rest of the time basically just learning how to solder, discussing different techniques, work holding techniques, because if you've got a friend that's an octopus, that's the time to bring them in to to do stuff, because you never have enough hands. So we did that the previous weekend. This last weekend we started fretting. Not worrying, fretting, like putting frets on. So, and that's always interesting, because it is, when you first start out, fretting's horrible, because you're trying to figure out the process. We talked about on this channel, we talked about on the Fab Shop channel before. I think we've even talked about it over on Mrs. Rattlecan's house channel, that a lot of times what makes a job go so long is the first part of it is trying to figure out what in the world you're supposed to do. How do I do this? And then once you figure the process out, then you can kind of get going and climbing up off that ugly flat part of the learning curve and getting somewhere up towards proficiency. So, we talked about cutting, the techniques in using side cutters. Do you cut this way? Do you cut this way? It makes a difference. We're given 2 sticks of fret wire, and that's enough to do a 21, 22 fret guitar, and not much more. So let's talk about economy. We talked about, of course, we're talking about safety. Everybody wearing their glasses, because stuff goes flying all over the place when you're clipping it off of there. And then we talked about hammering them on there versus pressing them on there. We use a combination of hammers, and we have a fret press that's made out of just made out of a small arbor press, using those fret press inserts from the StewMac. And I got to share a little bit of knowledge, something that I had learned off of the Amateur Luthiers Facebook page. If you're into building guitars, that's actually a pretty good resource of stuff, about the 2-hammer technique, where instead of hammering directly onto the frets, you are holding a hammer and then you're hammering the head of the hammer, which is then hammering the fret, and it reduces your chance of dinging up your fretboard greatly. That was one of those, holy crap, why hadn't I ever thought of that? Well, because I'm not real smart. So we got frets on. We started. We placed the string ferrules in. We started with bridge placement, and then I took a couple of pictures of, trying not to go out of order here, just took a couple of mocked up pictures of the neck on the instrument there in class. So that is, you're now caught up to what we were doing. So we installed the frets. We nipped the excess off the edge of the frets. We flat filed the frets. We put the bevel on the frets, and I should say that we started that. We've only got enough right now for like 5 stations at a time in a class of 10 people. So some people are working on putting string ferrules and bridges on. Some people are working on fret filing, and then we kind of rotate out as stations open up. So that is caught up on what we're actually doing in guitar class. And now I'm looking at my list of notes and crap to do. Yep. Sidebar. if you have a fairly active local performing arts theater kind of scene wherever it is you're out, there's a new play that Mrs. Rattlecan and I saw last night called Deadline, and actually the world premiere is in Dayton, going on for the next 8 days. If you get the chance, go down and see it. We saw it in the Loft Theater. Loft Theater holds, I don't know, 100 people. It's not a bad seat in the whole place. And yeah, an entertaining 2-act play. We had quite a few chuckles, and we're trying to figure out this kind of a murder or mystery thing that's going on. So keep a lookout. If that is scheduled to go in your area, check it out. And if you have live performing arts, live music, whatever in your area, go out and directly support those acts, please. Because it's a horrible recovery from what has happened the past couple of years, and everybody's kind of starting to get back on their feet and get moving again, but it's going to take some time. Off my soapbox. The 2 other items I have of interest. Number 1, which I think is pretty exciting, is we have a new guitar build that's going to happen. And in conjunction with that, a new series is going to be born, and the whole basis of that is this short video series, because I'm not in the lab at college to film content. That's not why I'm there. I'm there to learn. And so I do take photos, occasional photos, and I come on and talk about it, and it's a short video, and there's not a lot of content on that. So what is happening is this guitar kit has followed me home. And I guess I could talk a little bit about this. We are going to make a companion instrument to the guitar that we're making now. The Formica guitar that you have been seeing on this channel is I've now kind of called, we're going to make a his and hers set. Mrs. Rattlecan doesn't play guitar yet, but the guitar I'm building now would be a his guitar, just because it's kind of a more masculine, black and white and chrome kind of color combinations. This instrument is going to be the hers companion to that set. We'll talk a little bit more in upcoming episodes about what color scheme and stuff we're going to do. But this instrument, we're going to document the building of this much more for a learning type of thing. So we're going to build this guitar together. And we're going to treat it like a kit guitar. But we're also going to talk about what is a kit guitar. What can you expect to get with a guitar kit? And what are some considerations as far as tools that you would need in order to assemble a kit guitar, depending on what form it arrives in. What skills do you need to possess, or do you need to work on, or do you need to develop? As well as I'm going to gear this towards the new person, the new guy or gal to guitar building. I don't know anything about guitar building, but I want to build one. What do I need to know? And so we're starting from the assumption that nobody knows nothing. And we're going to work up from there, including what are some of the STEM principles behind why we do the things we do. Somewhat mirroring the content that can be presented in this course that I'm taking, but we're not going to have the time constraints. We're not going to be locked into attempting to teach 10 students a certain number of bullet points, and we've only got 4 hours to do it, and then we have to move on. We're not going to worry about that. So I think that's going to be exciting. It is currently, I have I'm waiting on one part to come in for the instrument, and then the kit itself will be complete, and then we're going to start working on that. So it's scripted out for quite a ways, because again, I'm in part of the machining school philosophy that I have been, trained with is process sheets. Sit down and figure out as many of the problems as you can beforehand, and figure out the steps that you're going to do before them, so that when you hit the floor, you kind of know what you're going to do. You kind of thought out where you think your mistakes are going to happen. You've already kind of thought out some resolutions for that. So what can I tell you about this kit at this particular moment? It is it's a T-style guitar. The wood itself, I'm trying to think how to explain this. This wood came from a stash of wood whose origins are unknown. They arrived on a pallet, and it was a very large assortment of woods and construction techniques. This is a two-piece body, and from the people that I have asked, both in some forums and in person in a couple of different locations, the front runner right now for what type of wood this is Paulownia. I'll put the correct spelling up there in the ethos somewhere. It's a very light wood. The body right now weighs, 4-something pounds. It's not very heavy at all. I bought it predominantly for the figure on the reverse side. That might give you some indications on what we're going to do with this. And this is a hard maple neck. And if you are able to read a little bit of figure or grain, you might note that there's some interesting potential with that neck. I got some pictures of it here up against the neck for the current build. Is it going to turn out like that? I don't know. Is the possibility there? Maybe to some extent. So that's what's going to happen with that. And then the newest, latest bit of news is that on Monday, I start a new employment activity, actually working in the guitar lab there at Sinclair Community College. I'm working starting out in the wood shop for the guitar lab, and I hear there is a very large shipment of woods coming in, and the wood shop is where we take just large pieces of lumber, 4/4, 8/4, 12 to 16 inches wide, 8, 10, 12 feet long, and we start from there and we process them down into the body blanks and neck blanks, fingerboard blanks, that then go over to the CNC portion, which is physically located in a different area of the college. And then they go over to the CNC lab, and then those are further processed so that if you are enrolled in a, guitarbuilding.org class, and you are getting the custom bodies. I don't know which. They've got a couple of different levels of bodies that you can get. But if you get those are the kits that go to you. So anyways, I'm excited about that. It's a part-time job. It allows me, it has a flexible schedule, so it allows me to kind of move my hours around as I can to accommodate the schooling. The other really nice benefit is the wood shop is located in the same building that the metal shop, the welding lab, all of that stuff is located. So commuting is not a big deal. Just go from one end of the building to the other. So those are my big, my big exciting news points for what's going on. We're going to finish, or at least get started on the end stages of the Guitar next week, because we got to finish doing the ends. Still got all the fretwork that we have to do. You have to level the frets. You have to crown the frets. We have 4 weeks left to finish these instruments, and I think we're actually going to lose one because of Turkey Day. The campus shuts down at like Wednesday at 5 o'clock and doesn't open up until Monday morning. So we're going to miss a 4-hour class session, and that also dings us out of a 3-hour open lab opportunity. So we'll see what can be done. Anyways, I'm James. This is Rattlecan Guitar Restorations, and that is what happened this week and stuff that's happening in the future. If you've got questions, comments, concerns, put them in the comment section down beneath the sermon notes. Be sure to go to guitarbuilding.org to see if there is if there's an educational opportunity like this in your area. If not for you, for your youngins, or for kids if you've got nieces or nephews or cousins or whatever, and there's a program in their middle or high school that they can get involved in. It's a good program. There's not a lot of hands-on learning opportunities in our schools like there were back in my day, when we were learning, how to field dress, a brontosaurus. Anyways, if I can do it, you can do it, because I'm a knucklehead. You guys have a great weekend. Cheers. Hey everybody, thanks for hanging out with us this afternoon here at Rattlecan Guitar Restorations. If you're not already subscribed, make sure to click my beautiful face above. Hit the bell to be notified next time we drop a video. Here's a video that the Hive Mind has picked out especially for you. And remember, if I can do it, you can do it. You guys have a great weekend. Shut up, cat. Cheers.